Like, I'll turn you back on. Just my turn.
Hi.
Morning.
So you've ridden with me using FSD for the last year as I've been testing it, but just as a passenger. So this is your first time behind the wheel. What are your impressions of it so far?
Well, it does seem to pick up certain patterns. Like if you indicate corrections, it does eventually take them. I understand very little about how it works, though, so I'm not sure how fast we should expect that to happen.
The actual full self-driving in all situations thing?
Not so much that. How quickly something should be resolved between sending feedback and it getting folded in.
Well, that's the great mystery.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's the part that I don't understand.
We will see what new updates bring us, but we're going to get your profile set up for FSD and then take your first drive and see how you think it is.
Okay, I'm going to click it. Full self-driving is an early limited access beta and must be used with additional caution. It may do the wrong thing at the worst time, so you must keep your hands on the wheel and pay extra attention to the road. Do not become complacent. When FSD is enabled, your Model Y will make lane changes off highway. Select forks to follow your navigation route, navigate around other vehicles and objects, and make left and right turns. Use FSD in limited beta only if you will pay constant attention to the road and be prepared to act immediately, especially around blind corners, crossing intersections, and narrow driving situations. Cabin camera is used to detect driver attentiveness, while FSD beta is in use to provide you with audible alerts reminding you to keep your eyes on the road. Okay, here's the promise part. By enabling FSD beta, I consent to Tesla's collection of VIN-associated image data from the vehicle's external camera and the cabin camera in occurrence of serious safety risk or a safety event like a collision. Do you want to enable FSD while in limited beta? Yes, let's do that.
Okay, and now you can choose if you want it in chill, average, or assertive. We'll do full self-driving preview. Sight and control, yes. Were those instructions fairly clear?
Yeah, it helps that there's a list of, here's especially what you need to have your hands on the wheel for. That list is helpful.
Are you confident to give it a try?
We'll see what happens. Okay, we are headed to West St. Paul. We're starting from Egan. And we put it in drive, and off we go.
And then to enable FSD, you'll double-click down on the right-hand stalk.
Hands on the wheel.
In 500 feet, turn left onto Sibley Memorial Highway.
Just talking to the car.
You're talking to yourself.
Turn left onto Sibley Memorial Highway.
Well, the Google lady is,
It will still ask you to touch the steering wheel and stuff as you go. Don't hold it too tightly.
Yep.
Just to take it out.
I was wondering how I was going to deal with Egan's big old service roads where you have to take a big wide turn.
Yeah, it was a little soupy, but
Yeah.
it did do it. So, jiggle the wheel there. Now, you have used autopilot on the highway before, right?
I don't think so. I thought I might have to take over there, but we made it through the yellow. All good. So far at like 62. See what it does with this weird curve here. Now we're split. See what it does. Right lane,
Okay. And just for the viewers, I will reiterate what we talked about before this, is like the disclaimer said, she is still in control. If something happens that she doesn't like, she can, take control with the wheel at any time, hit the brake anytime, turn FSD off by pushing up on the stalk. So there are a few ways she can take over if she feels uncomfortable, and I've encouraged her to do that. We don't want to take chances just for the sake of YouTube.
So far, so good. Slowing to make a red. Everything good. Gotta say, it does smoother stops than me. Yep, this is a weird intersection and it's doing well so far.
Yeah, looks like we'll go right through this, but then take a right in a little bit. And we'll probably cut some of this just waiting at stoplight time out because this is a long one.
Okay. All right, it moved lanes. But I think that the left lane only turns left, so that's okay. I just I didn't think it would do that, but it figured out that part of the route before I did.
Yeah, I think it made the right decision because you could have gone straight from the lane we were in or the one to the right of us.
Yeah.
And so it did jog correctly.
Yeah. It's going exactly 40.
2 miles over the speed limit. This is unsafe.
Okay, now it's got to navigate a weird curve here. Meandering.
Now turn right onto Minnesota 62 East.
Up.
Center lane needs to move over. Is it going to do it?
No. I took over there. All right.
You should be able to put it back in.
Is that how I do it?
Yep. Double tap down. Then if you're too close to an intersection, I don't think it'll engage.
Okay. It might have pulled out of that, but it was still assessing when I kind of...
It was in the wrong lane and trying to figure it out, so it was good to take over.
Is it back on me? Okay.
Yeah. You see the blue there and the blue line.
I forget, it gets all colored pencil on me. Not usually looking at it. Stop light come in. Okay, now that we're behind an expensive car, I'm a little more nervous. Like I was fine, and now we're behind an Audi, but it's maintaining the car length it said it would, so.
Is it helpful to have the visualization seeing the other cars?
Yeah, well that way you can tell what degree of recognition is happening, and it's clearly mapping the Audi in front of us. I'm seeing, yep, seeing it, maintaining this distance from it, well aware of it being there, not running you into it. Yeah, I don't know how this would work if it didn't have that.
It'd be a little harder to trust it.
way harder for me. Yeah. What do you think? You think you would
Yeah,
be less confident if you couldn't see that it was mapping the cars in front of you, like you couldn't see what it was recognizing?
yeah, I rely on that to make sure it at least has a ballpark understanding of what's going on. And if I see something I think it should see and I don't see it visualized, I'm definitely more prepared to take over than usual.
Yeah. Well, it's planning a lane change, so I'm like
towards Charlton Street.
looking out for that Subaru.
It likes to do that at 0.5 miles away. Or
Okay.
not before, so
Okay.
even if it's a good opportunity now, oh no, take it out, take it out, take it out.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and send that. Can you do that?
You can't do that anymore. Two down, two down. In this latest version, because it went wide, they took away the report button
Oh.
because they'd just be getting too much data in. So
Yeah, that
So we should
assimilation
be changing.
process.
should be changing more. Okay, it's seeing the car next to us and indicating nice that it went behind it instead of cutting it off.
Yeah. You've seen it do that before, right? Like just sort of cut somebody off a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
not in a way that is dangerous, just in a way that looks rude.
Right.
Towards
Yeah.
Charlton Street.
See what happens here? This is a very weird intersection.
In 500 feet, turn left onto Charlton Street.
Let's
Now
seize the
turn
van.
left onto Charlton Street.
Okay, this is a very... You're going to have to show a picture of this intersection because it's weird, but it figured it out.
Filming out the dash too.
Yeah. I'm really surprised it figured that one out. That one would be very confusing for a non-human because it just forks off at a weird angle. So far all we've had go wrong, well, I don't know. The only mistakes we've corrected have been it's gotten a turn lane that was it turned too early, or it got in a turn lane in thinking it was the main drag.
In 500 feet, turn left onto Marie Avenue West.
Like it's made no mistakes as it pertains to proximity of other cars or people or anything
Now
like that.
turn left onto Marie Avenue West.
Nope, and it read that that's a four-way stop sign. It waited its turn. That's good. Got that angle.
In
It sees a
500
runner.
feet, your destination will be on the right.
Sees a fire hydrant. Stop sign.
Now
Almost
your
there.
Okay,
destination
all
is
right.
on the right.
We're ending our trips to take over.
Not sure why I did that.
All right, we're going to turn around here, find another place that's a little more in a neighborhood. Down twice.
Unavailable. Okay.
For safety's sake, there are some times when it won't let you engage if you're too close to an intersection
Let me try one more time.
or a place that.
Okay. There we go. It's a 30 mile an hour here, Ellen. Did you not know that? No, I didn't.
In 500 feet, turn right onto Delaware Avenue. Now turn right onto Delaware Avenue.
Should be able to ace this one. This one's Foursquare.
How are you feeling stress level wise?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I expected to be way more nervous. And it's handling it. All I have to do is look for big errors. And there have only been two, and neither of them were dangerous.
In 1,000 feet, turn left onto Whitworth Avenue.
I don't know that I would give it to my mom, though. I don't think it's for nervous drivers. Let me put it that way. It's probably not for
Now turn
beginners
left
either.
onto Whitworth Avenue.
But they're pretty clear about that. About the degree of responsibility you have. Okay?
Do you feel like if you were driving behind this, you would think it was being weird?
In what way?
Like, would you think, oh, there's a robot driving that, or that person's drunk, or...
No, I don't think so.
I mean, obviously at the takeover points.
No, whenever anyone wants to tell me a horror story about auto steer, then they're always talking about
In
something,
500 feet, turn right
an
onto
act of
Dodd
reckless
Road.
disregard, and I don't really assume that of everybody.
Now turn right onto Dodd Road.
I mean, my dad taught me to drive defensively, but not that defensively.
Pretty sharp turn.
Yeah.
But it did it well.
Yep, not a problem. Oh, this is going to be some rando's house.
Yep.
Eric would be a little confused. Why would you pick on us?
I don't. They're viewers.
No, they're going to be confused in the moment. Why is this
Turn left
rando in
onto
my
First
driveway?
Avenue.
Not going to get in their driveway. I mean, unless you want to.
So I got to cut it off before we land in their driveway.
It doesn't do driveways yet.
Oh, okay.
Now turn
Well, I didn't
left
know
onto First Avenue.
I guess that makes sense. Oh, navigated around that truck pretty good. It's a big one. That person's been to Norwegian camp. They need you to know that. We're in the Midwest, in case you forgot.
In 500 feet, turn right onto Clement Street. Now turn right onto Clement Street.
Oh, do I turn that way? No, I don't. I figured it out.
Yeah, there's actually another line painted on the road. I don't know if that came across in the dash cam. So it started making the turn, then stopped for that second line, and then proceeded.
Sylvandale. It's deciding what
In
Sylvandale is.
500 feet, your destination will be on the right.
Comes the FedEx truck. No problems there.
Now your destination is on the right.
Hey, nice place you picked.
And there's actually a Tesla here.
Oh, hi.
So that's cool. This is going to take us a little on the highway and then to some side streets where there might be snowpack and we might have to take over because of that, because we don't have snow tires and it still doesn't handle that really well, so it's better to drive by yourself.
All right, I'm going to get away from these chunks and then try again. I was parked on ice chunks. Maybe that was the issue. I don't know. Look at this this neighborhood, my goodness.
In 500 feet, turn left onto Maple Park Drive.
I wasn't sure about that, but I figured it out. We are in some well-funded people live here.
Now turn left onto Maple Park Drive.
So this blue line on the screen is where it's going to creep up to if it needs to see a little better.
Oh.
So if there's a lot of cross traffic in front of you, that will give you a sense of
Onto Silverdale Road.
if it's going to stop somewhere safe or if it's going to be too close to that traffic. So
Okay, it took a minute to realize what the edge was, but got it. You don't really need to indicate that turn. Not really a
In
turn.
500 feet, turn left onto Sigley Memorial Highway.
Does it just signal if it's more than like 60 degrees?
yeah,
Now
it's
turn
the
left
signal
onto
lights
Sigley
on.
Memorial Highway.
So here's going to be a cross traffic and an unprotected left.
Yeah, and around a truck. So far, so fine. Very curvy road ahead.
You can see that.
Yep, it's creeping up to the blue bar. It's sees that car. It got a bit over its nose, but now it's good. That was making me a little nervous, but the
Yeah,
blue bar information helped.
Yeah, I probably still would have stopped it just out of courtesy for the other driver, but yeah, it was in a safe spot.
Yeah. He was probably a little nervous because I was poking out a little.
Right, that's why. So yeah, I would probably have disengaged just for their sake. Now we're going to merge onto the highway, and the highway is still using Navigate on Autopilot's technology, and I haven't had great luck with the handover as it merges. Like, it goes down the ramp okay, but then merging into traffic isn't always great. So that's a place to be a little more vigilant. And obviously take over and speed up or slow down as you need to. On the merges, I still don't assume it's going to do the right thing.
I didn't realize that was the reason for that weird transition.
That's my best guess.
Okay. Because I've been in the car when when there's a handoff happening, it's just, there's clearly something switching, but unclear what.
Turn left to take the
Okay, does it see
Interstate
the light?
35
Yes, it
north
does.
ramp.
It's found the stoplight. That's good. Got a yellow flashing arrow, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, so could have gone if it was going to be a little more aggressive there.
Yeah, I put it on chill, so that's on me.
No. Okay, we're in the middle of, and it's red. Go. Nope. You're in the middle here.
Yeah, I realized that. Thanks. Well, that was not a fun place to be stranded.
So it should have gone beforehand, or when it turned solid yellow, it should have taken the turn faster.
Yeah. See, yeah, maybe on yellow arrow scenarios, you should make the call for now.
I'm actually surprised by that, and maybe it's because I'm on the aggressive setting, but
Yeah, probably.
it's handled yellow arrows really well for me.
Okay, well, that's an important difference to note. It's two modes.
In 1,000 feet, take exit 103A on the right
Did I
onto
turn back
Shepherd
on?
Road.
Yep. You need to signal. So use this above.
Why did it ask for confirmation on that one?
Because you're on the highway.
Yeah, see,
That's where
if
it's a
I didn't
little
have you
weird
to
on
answer
this.
these questions, I would not do this. Because I think that's part of what feeds the fear of this, is that no one explains how it works, why it works, and what you need to look out for. They're just, the coverage tends to be, well, this one guy crashed.
Yeah. Well, when you set up, and this is, probably happened quite a while ago, but when you set up your profile for the navigate on autopilot, that piece of it, you have confirm.
Let's go.
Confirm.
Let's go. No, figured it out.
You have confirm with lane changes with the stock setup, and because you switch back to that other system, it needs that input when you're on highways, but then doesn't.
Now turn left onto Montreal Avenue.
Interesting, it's so far over to the right here.
Yeah. Oh, they got a stop
Use
sign
your
and we
accelerator.
don't.
Yep. So push it. It's going to confuse them. That's most of my inputs are
What? Just go, go, go.
just hit the accelerator. You're confusing people. It's gotten better, but that's still probably my main one is. And that's probably what I would have done with the yellow arrow too. Back there is it's like, no, we're going. So it thinks it's still 25 here, so you can scroll wheel it up. It would have changed at the sign, but sometimes it's just traffic is expecting you to start that speed up early.
Well, it took a minute to adjust from 50 mile an hour to 25 mile an hour on the previous turn, too. We are in beautiful Highland Park.
What it just did still really impresses me, that when you're cruising up to a red light slowing down, when I first got beta, it would still come to a stop after the light would turn green. And that motion of releasing the brake and continuing on like a human would has gotten much, much, much better. Because it used to be pretty jarring.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't feel anything. So, must have been very smooth.
In 500 feet, turn right onto Snelling Avenue South.
I'm making a mental list in my head of the people who would love to have this and people who should never be allowed near it. You already had one of those?
Yeah.
Okay, red arrow, good call.
In 500 feet, turn left onto Saunders Avenue.
Okay, now when we get to Saunders, I'm gonna take over.
Onto Saunders Avenue.
Okay, so we survived. We made it. This is your first trip on 3 different kind of routes. What are your thoughts and stress level?
Oh, the stress level's okay. Like, getting stranded with the yellow arrow turning red is the only stressful part that there's really been. The other 2 misses were really low stakes. In general, like, I'm probably not the audience for this. Like, this is not something I wished for or would rely on with any degree of, like, I wouldn't rely on it regularly, but it's good to know how to use it in case it would be helpful. Like, if I'm trying to think of a scenario where I would use it, but I rely really heavily on it keeping me in a lane and doing lane changes and helping me with lane changes and blind spots. But that's not auto. But that's not auto steer. That's what is that?
Just the regular autopilot.
Yeah, just the regular autopilot that I use it on the highway all the time. Like that piece of the functionality I use all the time. I don't know that I need it to the extent that Beta takes care of things.
With the progress you've seen over the last year as a passenger now experiencing it, do you think it would be something useful in a year from now? Or do you just have no interest in it?
Me personally, I don't. I kind of want to keep in my ear to the ground on it because it might be useful for persons with disabilities, and that's a concern in our household.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there might be a scenario, not a year from now, but I doubt, but there might be a scenario down the road when persons with disabilities can drive a car under these certain provisions. If it's this kind of car with this kind of capability and that capability is engaged, and maybe to get that provisional license, you have to always have that engaged. So that would be a few years away, that scenario.
Mm-hmm. Well, I find it helpful. I've got more experience with it, but I find in some cases where I'm pretty confident it can handle the situation. If I need to turn back to the back seat with our daughter back there, I know when I can do that or when I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I'm thinking about it like who would need it, who would be reliant upon it the whole time, and really you're not. You let it take over for a moment while you turn around.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm only thinking of it in terms of black and white. Like you either always have it on or you always have it off, and it's whatever is appropriate per user. It's any degree of what works for where you live and where you drive.
Yeah.
And because I travel so little, I don't even go physically to a workplace anymore.
Well, cool. Thanks for doing this. Any words of advice to new people trying it?
No, just the yellow arrow one we already talked about. Like, if you have it on chill mode, take care of the yellow arrow yourself. Go ahead and just use your own judgment.
Yeah, so if be ready to take over with the wheel and the brake if you get into that kind of situation, but also be aware you might need to hit the accelerator to get it through some situations.
If I use it again and I'm in this scenario, I'm taking it all the way out, and I'm taking over. I'll engage you when I get through the on-ramp.
Okay.
Like, I'll turn you back on, just my turn.
Well, that's a good way to use it. Safety first. Well, thank you. I know this is your favorite thing to do.
It is, my God. I love putting makeup on and looking at a camera and talking to people who don't know me. The best.
A huge thanks to Ellie for joining me on this. I really appreciate her insight and her perspective as being someone who's ridden with it a lot and now has actually tested it for herself. Just tonight, a couple weeks later, I asked her, did that experience change her mind when I'm using it as far as making her more comfortable, more nervous? And she said, no, because I trust you as a driver and I don't worry about it. So that's good to hear. A couple quick notes before we end about driving with FSD. And that is, usually I have my hand loosely around the wheel, and so if it does any of those bad lane selections, I can feel it pretty quick and just clamp my hand down, grip it a little bit, and take it out of autopilot and stay in my lane or my preferred lane. And sometimes if it chooses a route I'm not expecting, I will end up doing that thinking, I don't want to change lanes here. And then I look down at the map and, oh, you actually want to turn and take a route I wouldn't have. So sometimes it's right, sometimes I'm right, but always having that ability to control, and again, easily just a quick grasp puts you back into control. Another thing Ellie mentioned that I think is really good context is that it's not a black or white, situation where you don't have to never use it or always use it. And that's where I find myself most of the time, is somewhere in the middle. Some drives I use it, some drives I don't. If I don't know the real address for something, I'm not going to bother looking it up. If it, I'll just drive there and then use FSD to come home. unless it's a new version and I really want to test it out, then I'll, find a nearby neighborhood or zoom in on the map and drop a pin. But I use it 70 to 80% of my drives. And interestingly, although it can be annoying sometimes, I had an issue with my cameras a couple months ago where they weren't initializing and it wasn't letting me use FSD for about a week and a half. I realized just how much I do use it when I couldn't drive it again. So I thought that was pretty interesting that you do miss it when you don't have it after you have the option of using it for a while. By the way, that camera issue just resolved itself. It wasn't a big deal. Probably just a bug with a software update. And the final thing I wanted to point out is something else Ellie said about how it made her a little more confident testing it because I was there kind of giving her perspective and coaching. And we kind of had a session before the cameras were on where I explained the different ways of taking over, that she's still in control, all that stuff. The things that are written, but actually being the driver is a little different situation. You have to get used to it a little bit. And I think her perspective of setting up her account months ago, or really years ago now, as far as what her preferences were with Navigate on Autopilot, the stuff on the highway, and then now enabling a new feature, I think there was some confusion on her part as far as like, wait, what is what now? Which makes sense, but I think if you were a new driver and initializing this all at once, going through and, oh yeah, I just set that to this and this to that. So I think having that all in your head at the same time would be a little easier as well. But on the coaching thing, I think that is kind of important as far as having someone who's had experience with it, being able to tell you a little bit of what to expect and where maybe struggles in your neighborhood or whatever. So if you're thinking about enabling FSD and you're a little hesitant about it, go ahead and see if there's somebody in your area, a friend, fellow Tesla owner who's had some experience with it and will be your co-pilot for your first drive and answer any questions and maybe give you a little more confidence to try it out. As a longtime tester myself, I found it pretty interesting to ride with her on her first drive and kind of see beta from a new person's perspective again and kind of go, oh, I guess I'm just used to this, or I'm used to that, or I know what to expect, but she doesn't yet. And I'm really curious about new beta testers now that this has gone to a wide release. If you want it, you can pay for it, obviously, or subscribe to it, and then pretty much just download it, confirm the warnings and everything, and then drive with it. But I'm curious about how other people would react, and maybe some people who don't have Tesla experience at all, how they would react. So next week, I'm going to bring you my friend GJ from the ID4 video and way back the BMW i3 video, and I'll have him take a drive as a brand new FSD beta tester, brand new experience. He's test driven a couple Teslas, but this will mostly be new to him. And I'm going to give him the same rundown I gave Ellie. We're going to do a little drive and see how that goes. So that's coming next week, and I might have a couple more people lined up as well. So until then, have a great day. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Happy road tripping, happy beta testing, safe beta testing. Thanks for watching.